you cannot unlock a fresh mindset if you are not cognizant of the current one that you have. There's seed time and there's harvest time, and you must be conscious of it. No one becomes a hero overnight. It will take time. I say this to say that perhaps some of you in this hall need to become a little bit more patient with yourselves. It's going to be a journey. Some of you are trying to rewrite the wrongs of 25 years prior in just 1 month. You can't. It will take time. You see, in wealth and impact, the most powerful leverage is the right relationship. There's so little you can do alone as a person without leveraging the right relationship. Who is influencing you? Just become much more intentional about cherry picking those who are influencing you. Let me tell you something. It might not matter who does not like you, but it matters who likes you. It does. It matters who likes you. It matters who does. It matters who does. Who is speaking up for you in rooms that you are not in? There are some doors that can only be opened from inside. Hi, Grace Fusion. Please be seated. It's such a pleasure to be here. I've barely spent 25 minutes with you guys, and I already love the vibe of the house. It's a pleasure. I need to say it this way. Sometimes you might not be totally appreciative of all the privileges that you enjoy because there's such a concept as see finish. And maybe it takes somebody to come from outside to let you know that a church that rewards enterprise is not one that you find easily. This is important. And in as much as our priority is the word of God and the prevalence of the gospel in our day, I believe strongly that this type of charity should also begin from home. Okay? And I just want to say thank you to the leadership of Grace Fusion for having me around. It's a pleasure to be here at the place of grace. Thank you for hosting me. And I just want to say I'm happy to be here. And thank you so much. First and foremost, it took a lot to get me on a Sunday. Extremely hard. I just finished preaching 2 services in Lagos. And I don't know what they put in my team's food. They just, from the moment I think the mail came in, they checked in with me, and I just felt the ease, and I was compelled to be here, and it's such a delight. And I just want to say that you're going to be in for such an amazing time. And so let me put a bit of a caveat. I have 1 hour, but this next 1 hour will change your life. Few people brag ahead, but I'm bragging ahead. Because the next 1 hour will literally transform your mind. But all I need from you is rapt attention and as much focus as possible. And your focus can actually be discerned with how you approach a conversation like this. For example, I always like to tell people to pick out their pens and papers. You must never overrate your memory to think that every single thing that you hear, you will remember. There's a reason you must write the vision and make it plain. It is because it is easier to walk and run and war with something that you see pretty much every single day. And so I'd like for you to write to the best of your capacity. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here. And so I asked my team, what would they like me to speak about? And I was told that I was supposed to talk about unlocking the mindset for impact and wealth. And I love the fact that the theme of the event is Rewire. 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 And you're going to understand in a bit. And because I'm a guy who perhaps talks about a number of things every now and then, I had a bit of temptation on exactly where to begin from. Because trust me, there's a whole lot to uncover. And probably a whole lot that I really could have said. And so I thought it well and said, you know what? I'm just going to itemize 6 things to move you from where you are to where you need to be. And so I've tagged these 6 things to understand in unlocking a mindset of wealth and impact. I'm not going to call them steps. I'm perhaps just going to call them 6 points to note. And that's because I'm trying to work with my time. And because I have barely an hour, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to speak on each point for, let's say, about 8 minutes each. And then I tie it all up at the end. So are you ready? Are you ready? All right. The very first thing I'd like to say is, which is perhaps my number one, it is that you cannot unlock a fresh mindset if you are not cognizant of the current one that you have. And so number one will be start by understanding why you think the way you do. Start by what? Understanding what? Why you think the way you do. You see, every single person listening to me and every single person within the reach of my voice is simply a product of several years of conditioning. Several years of conditioning. Nobody appeared from heaven, for example, with this particular mindset. Nobody appeared from heaven thinking, acting, and talking the way that they currently do. And every single thing that you see when you hear someone open their vocal cavity and utter certain words are actually product of several years of conditioning. Conditioning from family, for example. Family is arguably the smallest unit of society, but guess what? Also the most powerful. It's the primary agent of socialization. And so in most cases, every single time you hear a person talk, what you are hearing is proof of some underlying issues. Perhaps positive, but in many cases also negative. It's proof of all that has been inculcated throughout the several years of your nurturing in your family. When you hear a person talk, I don't necessarily blame them. I see deeper than that because they've been conditioned to talk that way. And so every single thing that you currently are, in most cases, is a pointer to your conditioning. The family you grew up in many cases, your education, your culture, or perhaps your personal experiences. And that's why two people can face the same opportunities but react differently to it. Two people can be faced with the same situation, same difficulties, but elicit different reactions from them. You see, every single person you see and hear talk today is a proof of all they've been seeing and hearing from the moment they were born. You know, psychology is called something the theta brain waves, which means it's been argued and with strong proof psychologically that a child, note this, and please note it very well, that what happens to a child within the ages of 0 to 7 forms the fabric of almost all that he believes and holds dear to. In fact, it's been said that 95% of what you currently believe was actually drummed into you between the ages of 0 to 7. And guess what? It's been said that within the ages of 0 to 7, you're almost just walking in a bit of a subconscious mode. Your brain doesn't have the capacity to see what is right or wrong, which means that what might sound like a joke, your brain might what? Interpret it as truth. Which means every single shut up, keep quiet, has a way of piling up and adding up to who a person thinks he is. Every single thing you see, every single time you were told you can be great, it registered somewhere. Every single time you were told you can't do stuff, it registered somewhere. No words that were ever uttered to you at any point in your life was ever a waste. It always registered somewhere in your subconscious. And without knowing, it has formed the very major fabric of your being till this very day. And so words are powerful. In fact, in most cases, beyond just words, what you see is also powerful. Your parents are not just progenitors that bred offspring. They're not just people who pushed you out. They are in most cases the very first example that you see in your life. For many of us, the reason we can't see further than what we currently see is because our parents were actually mirrors of possibilities. And so many times, the reason you can't see far is because you never saw daddy go far. The reason you think you can't dare something, the reason you think you can't be great at life, perhaps, is because mommy and daddy have already created a subconscious ceiling in your mind. I said all of this to say something very proficient, which is, all right. Hi, everyone. Good to see you, sirs. All right. And so I said all that I'm trying to say to register one thing in your mind, and it's the power of your unconscious mind. You know, every single person tends to pay attention to their conscious mind. Your conscious mind is what you do, like the word connotes consciously. But in most cases, you must understand that every single thing that your conscious mind currently holds dear to was actually pushed up from the unconscious. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And you see, your unconscious mind and your subconscious mind is actually 95% of your being. But most of you pay attention to only your conscious mind. Whereas you did not know that there were major gateways to your mind and your heart that actually made words go down into your unconscious mind. So every single compliment, every single shout, every single thing that I saw, both what I paid attention to and what I did not, actually formed the core of who I am today. And this is important because for some people, they see challenges as a major roadblock and a full stop. For some other people, they see failure just as a comma and a necessary part of the journey. You know what the difference is? It's what has been drummed into you from the moment you were born. This is important because if we're talking mindset, you must pay attention to how you got to where you currently are. If I were to piece it from the beginning to the end, a lot of people might live here in tears because some of the things that you hold on to as beliefs, some of the limitations you have accepted in your life are actually just proof of how you were raised. You currently never see yourself as amounting into anything great. Not because you can't be great, but because you had no semblance of greatness around you while raised there. It's the truth. And so your environment had a way of conditioning you and trying to predict what you will make of your life. And so you must pay attention to how you got to this point in place. Because limiting beliefs are often inherited unconsciously. Often inherited unconsciously. You hear things like people don't like us. People don't like people like us. Or you may hear people make statements like, oh, that's too risky. What makes you think it's so risky? Why is it risky? Is it because no one around you has ever dared it? Or because it's impossible? Limiting beliefs are such a very serious issue. And you must pay attention to it. You know, according to cognitive behavioral theory, for example, there's a way that repeated thoughts actually end up becoming mental programs. Repeated thoughts end up becoming mental programs. And programming is very serious, particularly to a human being. It's very serious. Very serious. You know, I had the privilege of, just last Monday, being in a room with one of Nigeria's most accomplished entrepreneurs, Atedo Peterside. And he's founded IBTC. And he's also the founder of AnapJet. He is perhaps one of the most accomplished and most fulfilled people of Nigerian descent on the face of the earth till today. And in the midst of the conversation, he said something so profound, and I quote. We asked him and said, sir, at the age of 33, something interesting happened to you. You got the license to own and operate a bank. It's something unprecedented, particularly to someone as young as you were. How come that was the case with you? The man looked and smiled. We asked him, we said, what made you dare that almost impossible feat? And what made you think you could own a bank at the age of 33? And he smiled and said, this is how I was raised. He says, my mom taught me never to see anything as impossible. He says, my mom told me, and I quote, whenever they tell you you are too small, tell them they are too old. Those were his words. Today he's 70. But one of the major things that propelled him to the amazing and incredible feat he has ever accomplished were the words of his mom, right from when he was young. Whenever they tell you you are too young to do it, tell them they are too old. Let me tell you something. Many of you, the reason you're not daring the impossible, the reason you're playing so safe, the reason you're too scared and too timid, it's not really because you can't do it. It's because they've always told you till now that you can't. And you've accepted their suggestion as God's opinion for your life. And so you need to start by asking yourself, how did I get here? Why do I think the way that I do till this very moment? Why? Ask yourself very hard questions. You know, it was Steve Maraboli who said that once your mindset changes, everything else on the outside will change. It's always a case of perspective. Always a case of perspective. Always a case of perspective. What do you see? But before we get to what do you see, the question is, why are you currently seeing the things you are seeing? No one was born timid. Society conditioned you that way. No one was born always thinking of a way out of any simple challenge. You either conditioned yourself that way, you accepted people's opinions about your life. This is very important. And so the next thing I'm going to tell you, still on the same point, is whenever you see anyone succeeding, know that they don't have two heads. You know, your parents used to tell you when you were young, the person that carried first, did he have two heads? Well, newsflash, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Everyone you see succeeding, they don't have two heads. They don't. They don't have two heads. When you see people winning in business and in their careers, it doesn't mean that they're inherently better than you are. They're not. This is very important. Because now, remember, a whole lot of us are currently acting the way we are doing because society has conditioned us that way. And thank God for the theme of the event, which is Rewire. So good news, there's such a thing as neuroplasticity, which means you can rewire and recondition your mind from having a limiting belief to a growth mindset. It is possible. I've seen people do it even in their 70s. It is possible. You know, sometimes I get the privilege of training corporations. And one day I gave a very passionate training pitch at an oil and gas firm somewhere in Abuja. And I was talking to them about how they got here and why they are behaving the way they do. It was a training on self-leadership. When I was done, a 50-something-year-old man came to me and said, now I understand. Now I understand. You didn't get here overnight. If you're somebody who thinks you can't dare great things, you didn't get here overnight. If you're someone who thinks you can take on the world, you also did not get here overnight. It was bit by bit, little by little, poco a poco. That's how you got here. And so you cannot move forward until you acknowledge and understand how you got here first. How did I get stuck? How did I get stuck? How did I get here? And this goes without saying, if you notice very well and if you've been watching all that I've been saying, the two most important things are actually what you see and what you hear. Can I tell you something? Those are the major gateways to your life. There's a reason, for example, your Instagram is called a feed. It's because it is food to your soul. And so you need to begin to pay attention to what you see and what you hear. Every single thing that I see and hear must be in accordance to the type of image I'm trying to form about myself. This is important. And so if you expose yourself thoroughly to people who tell you you can't, in no time, you will begin to accept whatever suggestions they make. But if you build and condition an environment that tells you you can dare the impossible, trust me, in no time you will believe the hype. And you will believe it is true about yourself. And so you don't have two heads. I hear people say things like there are some special people. That's a myth. That there are special people. Can I tell you the truth? Myths like that are simply an excuse to stop you from trying. They are. Oh, they are. They are. They're an excuse to stop you from trying. In more cases than not, success usually comes from growing and improving in a skill set, not necessarily by innate talent. And that's the truth. There's something you can do about your life at the moment. Well, the question is, are you ready to do it? Are you ready? You know, it was Henry Ford who said something so brilliant. He said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Did you hear what I said? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. You know, sometimes I just I tell people, I accept all that you say about yourself. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so this is very profound. This is very, very, very profound. And it leads me to number 2 as we begin to move forward. Remember I said I'm going to give you 6 key things in unlocking a mindset of growth and of wealth. This is very important. The second thing I'm going to tell you is very simple. Stop thinking scarcity. Stop thinking what? Stop thinking scarcity. This one I'm going to be very, very, very fast on it because I think the name already explains itself or the title already describes it. How many of you have ever seen people who see the success of others as a threat to their own. You know, I always tell people, every time you see someone succeeding, it will elicit one of these two behaviors from you. Either intimidation or inspiration. Intimidation makes you begin to explain away their success. He's only that good because his mommy had money. He's only this great. Have you seen people like that? They will never just respect people and honor them from afar just like that. They must put a caveat. Na nepo baby, na why? In papa na politician, na why? And so intimidation usually leads to one of these two things. The first one is either that you are too scared and think it cannot be you. Are you getting what I'm saying? And then secondly, is either you just try to explain away the person's success. That's intimidation. But on the other hand, the second type of behavior, since other people succeed, can elicit from you, is actually inspiration. That when you see somebody else do what you want to do, instead of being intimidated, you must see them as a mirror of possibility. That if God can do it through them, is proof that he can do it through me. After all, he doesn't have two heads. It doesn't. It doesn't. That's my life. Anytime I see someone break a new ceiling, I know that I can follow after. What I've done is pretty much giving you a blueprint and a roadmap for how you can also follow suit. And so instead of being intimidated, calm down. Calm down. The sky is still too wide. It's so wide. Absolutely wide. Absolutely wide. Absolutely wide. The sky is wide. The sky is wide. Very, very, very wide. And so you must stop thinking scarcity. Stop thinking there's not enough to go around. Stop thinking like that. Stop thinking like that. You must cultivate an abundance mindset. That even if it does not exist yet, I can create it. Even if no one else is doing it, why can't I? It's a mindset to be cultivated. It's a mindset to be cultivated. This is very important. You know, when Dyer said something so profound, he says abundance is not something we acquire. It's something we tune into. You tune into it. It's something you tune into. And that's very important. Because scarcity blinds you to possibilities. But abundance actually lets you know that it is possible. Stop working and living on a scarcity mindset. That's very important. The third thing I'm going to tell you as quickly as possible is this. You need to understand and embrace the law of compounding and playing the long-term game. The law of what? Of compounding and playing the long-term game. You see, I think personally that one of the major issues we have as a people, maybe perhaps culturally in Africa, is that we think and we believe in the phenomenon called overnight success. There's nothing like that. It has never existed and will never exist. Every single time you see somebody successful, instead of being just so captivated and interested in the results, instead ask questions that are relative to their process. Ask questions related to their process. That's how you get there. You don't become successful by embracing just the results. You become successful by understanding the blueprint of how they got there. How they got there. I say this because everybody seems to be attracted by the view, but no one wants to climb the stairs. Nobody wants it. You all want the flashy cars and every single thing, and you think they got there overnight. You know, yesterday I was speaking at a conference. This is my 5th speaking in the last 2 days. Yesterday and today, 5 times. And so my second engagement for yesterday, I had the privilege of speaking right after Cosmos Maduka. And when I see the man, I laugh a lot because I think he's very hilarious. He's so full of passion. He talks like somebody who wants you to succeed as much as he does. And he was speaking right before me. I was to come up right after him. And he said some very interesting things. How he was what he called an Uwa boy, right? From the age of 9. And at 15, he was about to leave and his master gave him just 200 naira. Instead of setting him up. And he made a personal decision that no matter how hard it will be, I must still succeed. You know, I began to hear some very crazy things about him for the first time even yesterday. At some point, that man owned 25% of the whole of Access Bank. The whole of Access Bank. The whole of Access Bank. He's built Coach Charis and he's a billionaire today. Forget Forbes list though. Some people have it. I'm telling you the truth. And you know, one of the most important things about the man is this. Today he's 67. And the funny thing is, all that you've been celebrating about him is actually a tale of about 45 years because he became a millionaire in dollars at about the age of 23, 24. And so you, that you are just 19 and 20, you are putting yourself under undue pressure. Trying to be a billionaire overnight. Now, note something. Because I said he became a billionaire at 24 does not mean that might necessarily be your own blueprint. Are you getting what I'm saying? In fact, it's been proven statistically that most billionaires actually gain that status from the age of 50 and above. It's usually a case of compounding. In fact, he wasn't yet a billionaire in Naira until he got to perhaps his 30s and 40s. And so the law of compounding lets you know that it will take time. But every single time I improve on something, every single time I learn something, I'm laying brick upon brick. And one day it will germinate. It will yield to something monumental. No one becomes great overnight. Every single person that you see that is a public success put in private investments. When no one could see, when no one could hear, they were working. Indefatigably so. They were working even when it wasn't easy to do so. And so you must embrace the principle of compounding. You know, a statistic actually showed that Warren Buffett actually made 80% of his wealth after the age of 50. And so calm down. Calm down. That's important. Because when you must understand you are on a journey. You're on a journey. Stop being so fixated on the destination that you lose sight of the journey. It's a journey. It's a process. Sometimes it will take time. It will take time. No matter how much you try to accelerate it, a child must be in the womb for 9 months. You cannot fast track pregnancy. And so in many cases, you cannot fast track your growth. It will take time. No one becomes a hero overnight. It will take time. I say this to say that perhaps some of you in this hall need to become a little bit more patient with yourselves. It's going to be a journey. Some of you are trying to rewrite the wrongs of 25 years prior in just 1 month. You can't. It will take time. And you must understand this. You know, Albert Einstein says something that I love so much. He says, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it, and he who doesn't, pays it. Compound interest simply means that even the money that you save in the bank and in the savings app will take time to germinate. Will take time to germinate. Many of you are actually on the road. In fact, you are closer than you think you currently are. Just calm down and watch every single thing all come together. There's seed time and there's harvest time, and you must be conscious of it. You must be conscious of it. You must be. Many of the things I now enjoy today are actually a result of seeds that are sown 10 years before and 12 years before. And so let me tell you something. You must be patient enough with yourself to just watch your seeds grow, and that's fine. In fact, in many cases, I will advise you, take your eyes away from it and get busy doing more productive stuff and watch every single thing yield. And so you must learn to play the long-term game. You must learn to play the long-term game. That's important. And it leads me to the 4th point as I get to the crux of all that I'm about to share. It is that you must also understand the law of leverage. The law of what? The law of leverage. Leverage simply means doing more with less. Leverage simply means what? Doing more with less. It means multiplying your results without multiplying your effort. And so when I say the law of leverage, I'm talking about leveraging the right relationships. You see, in wealth and impact, the most powerful leverage is the right relationships. There was actually a statistic given by Harvard Business Review. And it said that up to 85% of the jobs and opportunities that come actually come through networking. That's the truth. Peter Gale said something that almost everyone knows when he says your net worth is your network and your network is your net worth. That's actually extremely true. I say this because there's so little you can do alone as a person without leveraging the right relationships. And I said this to say that in most cases, many of you got to this point through the wrong association. But guess what? It is impossible for you to get out of the ditch without the right association. And so because people might have negatively influenced you does not mean you throw away friendships altogether. Don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. Who is influencing you? Just become much more intentional about cherry picking those who are influencing you. And in my opinion, that's actually very transformative. It's been said that your life is usually an average of the 5 people you are closest to. I always take stock of this in my life. I hope you are doing the same. You must pay attention to the right networks and the right relationships. It's very important. Very, very, very important. Let me tell you something. It might not matter who does not like you, but it matters who likes you. It does. It matters who likes you. It matters who does. It matters who does. Who is speaking up for you in rooms that you are not in? There are some doors that can only be opened from inside. Did you hear what I said? No matter how much you knock, break from outside, you cannot open it. It can only be opened from inside. There are some tables, if they don't call you, if they don't put chair for you, you know if you sit down. And one thing I'm going to tell you is this. You must be very intentional about cultivating the right relationships. I'll just give you some basic principles that I think will help you. There are 2 types of relationships. There are the vertical ones and there are the horizontal ones. The vertical ones are like this. There's you here, and there are people you look up to who have perhaps reached some heights that you want to attain. Note that. There's also the type where it's horizontal, where it's you and people who are perhaps in your peer group. I'm going to give you some dynamics to help you navigate both. You see, with vertical relationships, you must always think service before anything else. Before thinking what you can get from them, think of what you can give. I speak in conferences all over Nigeria. And whenever I'm done, I get to meet people a lot. Yesterday, I was still at the conference. I had almost about 2,000 people. And so there was a rush, obviously, trying to meet me, trying to talk to me before they come. And that's great. But listen and listen well. In most cases, I've noticed that when people are trying to talk to an HNI or trying to meet someone and introduce themselves, many times they sound too needy. Too needy. And therefore, being needy, nothing sets you apart. Nothing makes you different. I meet needy people every day. And so many of them are always thinking about what they can take and not what they can give. You know, I had the privilege of being mentored by Ikponwo Osaki Odua, IK. How many of you know IK Osaki Odua? It's still Africa's most sought after event compare. When I was much younger, I would go for IK's mentorships. And he would tell me something so profound. All of us in the room. And one of the things he would say is this. No wealthy person, even Dangote, rejects free work as long as it's valuable to them. Let me tell you why I said this. It's because in a world where everybody just wants to work for somebody, right, just to take stuff, you must always ensure that you have built a value mindset from the beginning where in a world where everyone wants to take, you just want to give. And so build a life of service, particularly in vertical relationships. Build a life of service. If there's someone you've been dying so hard to meet, let me tell you something. There's a need in their life you can meet. I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. There's a need in their life you can meet. Sometimes just go and study their social media. Send them a mail that there's a loophole you've seen that you think you can fix. Let me tell you something. Access is key because access is power. If a wealthy man and a successful man gives you money, he has cheated you. But if he gives you access, now you're talking. Because there are certain rooms you get into, and just by virtue of being in that room and other people seeing you in that particular room, you've opened endless and countless doors. I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. There was a very popular story of a very successful lawyer. I think it was a senior advocate of Nigeria. And the young lawyer has been trying to meet him so much to get a gig. And he just smiled and said, I'm not going to give you a gig. And so finally the guy comes to the office and he was trying to ask him maybe for a placement or for an introduction or something. And he just smiled. The senior advocate of Nigeria knew that his lobby was full. Right? And people were waiting to see him. You know what he did? He told the young lawyer, follow me. And he put his arm around him. And just by walking with him throughout the entire hallway, several people who were waiting and dying to meet the man saw this guy. Who you be? Where you come from? How do you know this man? And immediately the man took him back to his office, let him go. And just by being on the hallway, people started collecting his number and exchanging contacts. Because access truly is power. I'm telling you this because it is very important. Sometimes all you just need is to be in the environment with the same person because something will drop. And it's usually very tangible and very raw. And so think service and not just about always collecting. You meet a wealthy person, the first thing you're asking is they should show you love. That's why you will remain poor. Show me love. How? Which love? How do you want the love? How? And so you must manage it. You must wet it. You must wet it with honor, with honor, with honor, with honor, with honor, with honor. Let me tell you something, and it's going to be a very important trick. Never go before a successful person empty-handed, no matter how broke you are. Never. Never do it. Can I tell you something? You might not have money to buy them a Ferrari, but they appreciate the orange you bought. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart. They appreciate it. Find a way to make an investment in their emotional bank account. Anytime you can do some heavy or small lifting for them, you might not have money, but you can serve. They pay attention to it. I'm telling you tricks that work. I've seen it. I have privileged relationships with some of the most popular and successful people in this country. And I'm telling you how these relationships are maintained. On their birthdays, go over and beyond. They might not even need it. In fact, there was a time where, very recently, one of the CEOs of one of the biggest companies in Africa, it was his birthday. I have privilege of access to him. And so, myself and my wife were going to his place. We made sure we parked, got a gift. It was quite an expensive gift. Went, got to his house. By the time we got there, he was not around. It was just his wife. And honestly speaking, you know, say when you don't spend money on top gift, you want the person to see you. Sir, happy birthday, sir. But he wasn't there. But his wife obviously saw it. And guess what? I'm sure he perhaps later will see it. And guess what? Might never even really use it. But in many cases, it's the thought that counts. Are you hearing what I'm saying? In a world where everybody wants to take, give. The little you have can do something to them. That's with vertical relationships. But you see, with horizontal relationships, pay more attention to them sometimes than you do to vertical relationships. You know, many of you keep looking for ready-made friendships. You keep lobbying around to look for big men. But you forget that the big men of today were people's friends yesterday. Some of you have been despising your close friends because of not yet made it. Whatever it is to you. And so here's my point. While on the ladder, instead of always looking up to build the greatest relationships, make sure you look around you. And don't despise greatness because it's in its seed form. Learn to train yourself to spot potential. Learn to train yourself to spot potential. You know, a couple of weeks back, I was talking to I call her Auntie Funke. She's Africa's most successful event planner. Funke Bokno Brutia. Many of you know her. She's the founder of Zafire Events. And we were just gisting. I said, Auntie, come and cut soap for me. It was a joke. And I said, I noticed something very interesting. I saw on your WhatsApp status. She planned Davido's event, Dangote's daughter, and the likes. She's number one. She's like that. And then recently, Davido's manager, Asa Sika, was actually having his wedding. And she put on WhatsApp and said, when she walked into the wedding, she saw at least 12 people whose wedding she planned. Tap your neighbor. Say network. Oh. It has levels. There are levels to it. Levels. Absolute levels. And she said something so interesting to me. She said it really started by she planning her friends' events. She just showed up for her friends, though. And that's how every single thing kept on just moving. It creates a chain reaction. It creates a chain reaction. Every single successful person you celebrate today was once somebody's roommate that nobody cared about. I'm telling you this because you must pay attention and wet relationships from when they are young. Lest after they make it, you start coming to farms. May we not farms people we should have remained in connection with. Don't despise anyone. Don't despise anyone. This is very important. And so learn to leverage relationships. The right ones. Learn to leverage what? Relationships. The right relationship can cut short 5 years of trial and error in 5 months of accelerated growth. I'm telling you. The right relationship can, one introduction can cure 10 years of sakpa. I'm telling you the truth. So pay attention to it. God doesn't bless men by coming from heaven. God blesses men through men. That's what he does. And so in all of your prayer, ensure your attitude is not smelling. In all of your prayer, ensure you treat people right. And so, for example, I don't rate you by how you treat people that are above you. I rate you by how you treat those that you seemingly do not expect anything in return from. I was raised to treat the janitor and the CEO the same way. You should apply it. Same in your life. I'm telling you this because some of the people you are discriminating today could be the greatest keys for tomorrow. Sometimes it might not even be that they are already in elevated positions of authority. It could just mean that they have access that you need. That person you say, Mumu secretary. Well, he could hold the keys. I wish I could give you stories for this. Tonye Cole, your APC aspirant. There's one very interesting story. Incredible man. He shared a very profound story that I think many people should hear. Several years ago, during the Abacha regime, they started Sahara. He, Tokpe Shonubi, and one other person. You know Sahara, obviously, right? It is Nigeria's most indigenous oil firm. It's number one. I think they're even higher than Seplat and more successful than Seplat, if I'm not mistaken. Well, you see, it was founded by Nigerians, young Nigerians. Some of them were in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And something interesting happened. I think it was Abacha's regime or something. I think Abacha died or someone died, and then there was a change of power. And if you are very familiar with Nigeria and how things work, once there's change of power like this, what's going to happen? There's always a lot of things checking. They pause some contracts and many more things. And so there was a particular office or maybe a minister or something they used to go to. And then the new person that has been elevated to the current seat, they did not really know him personally. But I think they knew his secretary. And every single time they go there, they were always just very nice and kind to her. And so guess what? A new government came on board and they cancelled all the existing projects. And whether you like it or not, that was enough to send them back and cancel out all the success they have made. And they kept on lobbying. What happened? And finally, they went into the office. They said, nobody can see this man. And they went and spoke with the secretary. The secretary said, wait, don't worry, I'm coming. Sit somewhere. I will let you know the perfect time to go in to see him. And finally, she called them at the perfect time. They entered into the man's office and they locked the door. The man thought they wanted to deal with him. Yes, they went there for serious business. And they said, sir, you have to come to our rescue. And that was how they got Sahara back on track. Because they did not despise a secretary. They didn't despise what? A secretary. You might know 99%, but somebody you might have been despising might have the 1% that you need to add and get to your 100. Knowledge can come from anywhere. Leverage relationships. Did you hear what I said? Leverage relationships. And the second to the last thing I'm going to tell you, because my time is fast spent, is you need to learn to expose yourself to the right information. Expose yourself to what? Listen, in today's world, ignorance is very expensive. Very expensive. Because markets are shifting and industries are being transformed even overnight. And new technologies are actually emerging. This is important. Albert Einstein once said that once you stop learning, you start dying. Once you stop learning, you start dying. And so you must keep learning. You must keep learning. I think it was a research by IBM in 2020 that said that every 12 hours, the information of the world doubles. Which means if you are not currently learning something new every 12 hours, you are already behind. Information doubles. That's ridiculous. I know you must have heard that leaders are readers and you think it's just people trying to rhyme. But it's the truth. It's a very substantial truth. How exposed are you to the right information? Do you have an insatiable thirst for knowledge? It's impossible for you to truly cultivate a mindset of impact without learning. You have to keep learning. You have to be. Let me tell you one trick and one hack I settled in my life once and for all. Everybody that I admire, whose depth I admire and whose knowledge that I crave, are proof that all that I really need to do is to learn just like them. I'm telling you the truth. There's nothing I know or I have learned that I'm saying to you that you cannot learn. You can. Oh, you absolutely can. It's all trapped in a book. It's all trapped in your exposure. It's all trapped in what you read and what you feed your mind with. I tell you this because the world is fast moving and ever evolving. And you must ensure you are not like stagnant water, because stagnant water smells. Some of you, all that you know now is the same knowledge that you knew in your SSC and you expect to advance. For every new level, there's a new knowledge needed. Because yesterday's knowledge cannot solve today's problems. Every brand new problem comes with its own solution. And so you must keep learning. Cultivate a habit. Build a lifestyle around studying. Can I tell you something? Back to the law of compounding. If all you do every day is to separate 20 minutes to read something new, at the end of the year, your life will never remain the same. Never remain the same. The problem many times is that you are so fixed on the end results and you don't just follow in through the process. Cultivate a habit. Set an alarm on your phone. Maybe the last 20 minutes of your day before you go to bed, spend it reading. The average adult within the reach of my voice spends between 2 hours, 30 minutes and 4 hours on social media every day. So you have no excuse. You have no excuse. Can I tell you the truth? The real people who make impact don't even have time for the tools through which you read of their impact. It was Bishop David Oyedepo who once said that those who make news don't read news. And it's the truth. I was just talking to Pastor Enoch as we were seated there. He said, some people were trying to reach me. I said, I'm sorry. I might be very popular on social media, but I'm really not there. I'm really not there. I have about 1 million followers across my social media platform, and I reach even more people than that, perhaps every month. I'm not there. There's a team of people who are paid to handle those things you see. Maybe once in a while, obviously, I post. The only platform I post on by myself is Instagram, because there's no time. You know why? The reason you love and admire all that you see me post is because I spend time learning. The public applause only comes from personal painstaking labor. That's where it comes from. 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 And so the secret of men is in their stories, not in the results. Cultivate it. A habit of study. A habit of learning something new. Learning something new. It has changed now, but my wallpaper used to be screenshot of brand new words that I learn every week. And so my wife will carry the phone. Ask me, I'm wrong. Okay, I'm correct. I'm wrong, I'm correct. I have 2 new words I've learned this week alone, or 3. They remain in my brain. I might sound like a fool when I'm learning it. People might think I don't know what I'm doing. Go and ask my classmates from secondary school, Baptist Academy or Banikoro. At the age of 12, 13, 14, I will put full note at the back of my book, new words. One of my classmates once stole it one time. And he started reading the words. And he got to one part. It was cacophony. Unpleasant sound. So he used to call me cacophony, cacophony, cacophony. And now he sees me blowing grammar all around. He won't be surprised. Anytime you see somebody exhibit a trait that you like, before you ask them for selfie, ask for updates. Ask for updates. How did you get here? How? Stop attributing everything to is his mother, is his father. Better be coming down. I lost my father when I was 7. It's about money. My mommy used to send me to that school that you have been mentioning. My own course mates came from British International and some of the best schools all around. They were all on monthly allowance. My own was weekly. My mom could not afford to send me money for a full month. Because the money for next week will come after she works for this week. And so the moment I stepped into my class, I made a vow. None of these people will succeed more than me for this class. I topped my class from 100 level till I graduated. There's a fire that must stir from your inside that no other person must. You see, some of you keep waiting for extrinsic motivation. And if you pass, I will buy you a shoe. If you do this one. Alaye, when you are done with school, nobody sent you. I graduated 19, traveled to Akwa Ibom in Siribom. Anybody from Akwa Ibom here? I love you guys already. I went to Isiribom to go and do youth service. My mommy stopped sending me money. I sold toast bread. I was head of fellowship. I was still selling toast bread. You know, one of my aunties told me something from when I was small. Told myself and my brother, Shola, Toby, don't compare yourself to your friends. You don't have a father. I'm telling you this because nobody is coming from anywhere to save you. You have to make a decision with your life to make a meaning out of it. We can't keep chasing you to read. If you like, don't read. If you like, don't read. And if you don't worry now, body go tell you. Body go what? He go tell you. Because let me tell you something. I didn't plan to say this, but I will tell you. The greatest thing that keeps me moving are 2 truths. Number 1, that there's still time. And number 2, that there's no more time. I'll explain what I mean. There's still time means that your seeds will still need time to germinate. And which means don't be in a hurry. In the sense that you might be 20 now or 30 now. But life might truly begin for you at 40. You never can tell. And so there's time. But on the other hand, there's actually no time. Someone said something and I quote. Somebody who was 25 years old in 2000, beginning of the century, at Olushela Obasanjo's tenure, is now 50 today. Yeah, 50 today. It just comes fast, goes fast. How many of you are here can remember when lockdown was declared for COVID? Raise your hand. It's 5 years ago. And guess what? The course you did not want to start 5 years ago, you are currently regretting that you did not start it then. Someone said, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now! Now! You will regret it if you don't. And so I tell myself every time, Alaye, procrastination cannot be in your dictionary. Because I must never get to my future and regret the decisions of my past self. Never. Never. Time is going. Wake up. Time is going. Time is going. If you used to play game like when I was young, we played Myro and Dangerous Dave. Usually had 3 lives, yes or yes. They kill you the first one, Tom. Second one, Tom. But imagine you had just 1 life. When you had 1 life, you sat up with seriousness, yes or yes. That's your life now. There's no spare. There's no part 2. If you waste it, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I wake up every day. I can't waste my life. It must count for something. I must make a meaning out of it. And it leads me to the final thing I want to say. Is be a hard worker. Did you hear what I said? Be a hard worker. You know, life is crazy. You know why life is crazy? It's because everything that is great is at the other side of pain. Anybody here tried growing a muscle at the gym? You know how crazy it is? Guess what? Everybody will admire your body when you are done. That's why I tell people, if you see somebody who is fit and has chest and muscle, respect them. That's some hard work there. There's nothing in this life that is admirable and great that did not come at the other side of pain. It took pain. For every degree you have, for everything notable you've built, it took pain. That's how life is designed. Don't ask me, ask God when we get to heaven. But that's how life is designed. And that's why life doesn't just give you what you think you deserve. It gives you what you negotiate. You must calm down. Hey, God, I'm telling you the truth. It will take some pain. It will take some pain. It will take some pain. And so talent and opportunity are good. They might take you far. But it is discipline and hard work that takes you all the way. This is important. Listen, you will not always feel like it. One of the first things you must learn is that your feelings in some way don't matter. Particularly in this generation where everybody, I'm not feeling it, is too toxic. Poor. Is not giving. I pity you. I pity you. Sakpa will come and it will not be given to. Any small thing is affecting my mental health. Do you think I'm happy? Do you think I'm happy and excited to finish preaching 2 services in one day and enter car to go to airport, to be flying to Port Harcourt and come here and be speaking? Do you think I like flying? I have AC in my house too. I will perhaps sit down there and be playing FIFA and watching Community Shield. I'm a football lover. I could have been doing that. But instead, I'm here impacting people because this is how destiny calls and I must answer when it does. And so discipline is not doing what is convenient, it's doing what is demanded. There is a demand for your next level. And that's the truth. There's a demand. It will not always be convenient. Stop trying to do convenient things every time. Stop it. Don't feel like it. I wake up, my alarm was not, I put out the alarm. Are you joking? Go and tell your children that in 20 years to come. That the reason that their mates have something that you don't have was because you could have hustled a little bit better. Now, I'm not saying your parents not being able to afford stuff for you does not mean they did not hustle enough. All I'm trying to say is that as long as they give themselves to hard work, then they have no regrets. In the future, may your regret never be from the fact that you did not apply yourself just a little bit more. Be a hard worker. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo is reputed by some to be the greatest footballer of all time. Messi fans might argue, but this is not the time for that. There was something that he said so profound. He says, even if I tell you and I give you everything that it took me to succeed, you cannot do it. Why do you think only less than 5% of people who attend conferences like this end up putting it to use? It's because talk is cheap and sometimes writing is also easy. It's the application that matters. It's the application that matters. You know, I was telling my friend recently, I go to the same gym with the legendary Ketenshaw. And so every morning I get to the gym at 7:15 a.m. after my devotion, after prayers and many more things. And so something very interesting happened, or happens normally, when it's time for devotion. You know, when I'm done praying, I get into the car, driver is waiting downstairs, and we get to the gym. Every single time I'm at the gym, Ketenshaw must have already arrived before me. And so at 5 something every morning, Auntie Kate is, hey. And so there was a particular day. I didn't miss her at the gym. I met her. I came just when I thought she was about to leave. I met this lady. I finished working out. I was tired that day. I was about running home. She saw me and said, Alpha, are you going now? I said, no, I'm going downstairs. On my way down, I said, Olushola, you are a man of God. You must make sure you really go downstairs and still walk out small. And here's the point I'm trying to drive home. This lady is 55. She looks like she's 25. And when you see it, you admire it. Oh my, you look good. The secret of men is in what? These stories. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo said something so profound, and I want you to note. He said, and I'm going to repeat again, that even if I give you everything that it took me to get here, you still cannot do it. Why did he say it? He said it because it's easy in many cases to strive to be like somebody else. But by the time you understand the crazy framework and discipline they've built around their lives, you know how hard it is to get there. If it were easy, everybody would be successful. some of his teammates, Ralph Ferdinand and Patrice Evra, said something so crazy. They said one day after training, they got to his house and, they were really tired and they were expecting to eat and all. They said, no, while I come around, let's eat. He said they got to Cristiano Ronaldo's house. All the food that there was to eat was grass. Healthy meals only. He said after they were done finally eating the boring food, he said the guy went to the garden and started playing 2 touches, 2 touches, 2 touches, 2 touches, 2 touches, 2 touches. That's all he knows. He's built a given level of obsession about his craft. That's why all that you see on the field on Sundays did not come there overnight. They are a result of painstaking commitment to the task. He was at Manchester United for 6 years. He never missed training once, except when his father died. 6 years. He didn't miss training once. Every time you see people getting public applause, be more particular about the hard work that he took behind the scenes. This is important, and I hope it changes your life as much as it does mine. This is very important. There was a very beautiful quote that I learned from Thomas Alva Edison. He says, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Inspiration is cute. You always expect ginger. Beginning of the year, everybody is gingered. Initial gra. You have what's the name of that list? A New Year resolution. Check back, January 10th. Check back, January 10th. Few people. Check back by February. Then something else happens. By the time it's June into July, there's new ginger because it's half the year. And you realize how much you have wasted the year. And the moment is by like October, November, it's game over. In fact, the worst time to hold a conference and have people come around to be inspired is actually around December. If it's not about gospel, forget about it. Because nobody one day inspired towards Christmas. In their mind, they wait till January so they will go again. Listen and listen well. Stop looking at the clock. Whenever you wake is your own money, You can make a decision today and make a meaning out of the entire of the year. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. And so hard work. Hard work compounds. Every late night study will count for something. Every extra rep in the gym will count for something. This is important because work ethic is a great equalizer. It equalizes talent. Some people might be born with a natural proclivity to do something with much more ease than you can. But hard work is actually a great equalizer. It is an equalizer. Listen, I'm going to wrap up with this. And it's something I always tell myself. You see, in life, it's easy to do what we call coactor effect. In social facilitation, there's something called audience effect and coactor effect. Audience effect simply means that you are likelier to perform well when people are watching you. Yes or yes? There's also another one, which means you are likelier to perform well when you are competing against something. It's called coactor effect. But let me tell you, the greatest principle that the most successful men in the world live by is none of those effects. They live by the ability to motivate themselves when no one is watching. Let me tell you something. Pay attention to every personal decision you make to yourself and ensure you fulfill it. Every time you are at the gym and no one is watching, and you tell yourself, I will do 10 reps for this exercise. Don't stop at 9. Don't. Because you are cultivating a habit. Don't stop at 9. Every time you say you wake up at 2 a.m. to pray, when other people are asleep, don't stand up at 2:01. I'm telling you this. You must ensure that you've cultivated and built a standard of excellence for yourself. That even if people are watching and people are not, you are going to ensure you keep the word you make to yourself. That's how you build a life of success. Think of it this way. Even if you've experienced any semblance of success so far in your life, it will still take hard work and the pain that it took to get it to keep it. My favorite quote at the moment is a quote by Rewire. He says, success is never owned, it is rented. And every day, that rent is due. Thank you for having me. I'll stop here.